Alright, y'all. It's AEW Dynamite Review for January 26, 2022. Alright, so first match, Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes for in a ladder match for the TNT Championship. Unify the belts. Alright, so they start off punching in the crowd, and then Cody clotheslined Sammy over the barricade. Sammy hit a cutter or RKO, whatever you want to call it, off the barricade. A pretty cool looking spot. And then Sammy hit Cody with the ladder while Cody is on the apron. Cody suplexes Sammy off the ladder. And then back from commercial, Cody set up a ladder upside down. And then he tossed Sammy on the ladder. Brutal spot. Sammy got his ass whooped tonight. And then Cody did a figure four submission on Sammy with the ladder wrapped around Sammy's legs. Cody throws a ladder at Sammy while he's on the apron. Sammy hits a cutter jumping off the ladder on Cody, who's on another ladder reaching for the belts. And then Sammy traps Cody under the ladder. Cody pushes the ladder up while Sammy's climbing the ladder. Cody hits Crossroads on Sammy off the ladder and in between two ladders. Sammy gets up and climbs onto the ladder. Cody and Sammy are stuck on the part that's holding the belts, the suspension, I guess it's called. And then they both fall off of it. And then Sammy's friend Fuego del Sol comes out, and then Cody just beats him up, and then Sammy tosses Cody outside the ring. It's a GTH on Cody. And then Cody's on the ladder set up between the barricade and the ring post. It was like a bridge between those two. And then Sammy set up another ladder and just fell on Cody. Did a senton or a swanton. They're both exchanging punches on top of the ladder. Sammy hits Cody with the part that's holding up the belts, and then Sammy just grabs the belts and wins. So he is once again the TNT champion. Next match, Wardlow just squashed two random jobbers, I guess. And the next match, Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz versus Daniel Garcia in 2.0. Santana hits three amigos on Garcia. Santana and Ortiz throughout the whole match, it pretty much does just not tagging Jericho. Some issues going on. Back from commercial, 2.0 isolates Ortiz from the inner circle. Ortiz doesn't want to tag in Jericho. And then he waits for Santana to get back up to the apron. Because it looked like he was going to tag Jericho, but then Santana just got back up on the apron. And then Jericho is just pretty much on the rest of the match, just outside watching the match. He hits Judas Effect from the outside while one of the members of 2.0 is on the ropes. And then that pretty much helps him get the win. And then after the match, Jericho's just pissed off at him, I guess. So it looks like it could be breaking up, splitting from the inner circle, Santana and Ortiz. Alright, so we got, I think, the best part of the night, CM Punk and MJF. CM Punk pretty much comes out there and just calls out MJF. MJF comes out and he says, so you guys want to see his wrestler tonight? And then he said, the crowd's saying yes, and he says no. Do you think I would have wasted one of the most historical matchups in Cleveland, Ohio? And just booing him again. He's like, this place is disgusting. This place is a cesspool. He says next week will be CM Punk, and he delays it, and then he says MJF. So finally get to see that match. MJF says it's a dream match that they think they want. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so he says it's a dream match they think they want. A matchup they think they want. He says, while the match is going to be spectacular, it is the outcome that is going to be very upsetting. And then he says, after I win, you will see the real CM Punk. The CM Punk who loses his fake smile when he doesn't get what he wants. CM Punk who blames all his failures and everyone but himself. The CM Punk when he feels he is just due, he is more than willing to sue. He said, your same hero who claimed on August 13th, 2005, he left professional wrestling. And on August 2021, he said he's back. And we'll soon say on February 2nd, I'm leaving wrestling again. And then MJF says he would never leave. He said Punk won't leave us again. Or he's talked to the crowd about that. And then, they're in Cleveland, so he says, did you guys say the same thing about LeBron? So he left too. And he came back. The crowd just shitting all over him. And then he says, he left all of you and all the fans that loved him and supported him. But when he was scheduled to make an appearance right here in Cleveland in 2014, he no-showed to turn his back on each and every one of you. What makes you think he won't do it again? And you watching at home, you think he gives a damn for the last 7 years, chanting his name at the top of your lungs. And they start chanting CM Punk, and then he says, I got news for you. All those chants aren't going to stop him from turning his back on you again. And then crying about it on a podcast. So he's just bringing up that whole part where he got fired from WWE and then all the shit that he did with it after it. And then Punk says, a podcast you listen to because you're a fan. The best thing I ever did was leave. And the best thing I ever did was come back, he says. If I didn't come back, you wouldn't have your brush of greatness. And then he says, sometimes you got to take matters in your own hands. Some of them love me, some of them hate me. That's how life is. I would rather be me and try and fail, he says, than be you and talk a big game and never show up. You pay to see me stand in line to get my autograph. These don't love... and he says, these fans don't love me because I win. They don't hate me because I lose. He says they love him because he gets back up and he tries and he fights. And then FTR, Wardlow, and Sean Spears, the whole Pinnacle, and MJF, they come to beat up Punk. Spears hits Punk with a chair. MJF tells Wardlow to powerbomb him on the chair, and he does. MJF sits cross-legged on Punk, and like he did for the pipe bomb, and then he says the same place your journey started. This is the same place where your journey ends. It should be a good match, but I think Punk's gonna win because his career's on the line pretty much, he said. So I think they're gonna continue the feud until Revolution. Alright, so next match is Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch. Velvet locks in a triangle submission hold. Layla picks her up and power bombs her in the turnbuckle. Back from commercial. Velvet hits double knee to the back of Layla's head. Velvet hits a spear on Layla for a near fall. Layla power bombs Velvet. Puts her in an armbar. Velvet gets to the ropes. And then Layla pins Velvet with a roll-up. It's a boring match, in my opinion. And then they show a cool vignette with Malachi Black and Brody King. Says Malachi Black says the house is dealing with conflict. You will hold him in your arms, whisper in his ears, and say you are thankful for him. And then says Death Triangle will feel true pain. Next segment is with Britt Baker. She says every time CM Punk and MJF have a segment, they can't keep their